Yo, yo, yo. If you tune in to me, you know you're watching Gully TV. I got a special guest tonight. I have a former prosecuting attorney from the Bronx. We're going to sit here and fellowship with y'all about the Central Park 5 case. We're going to speak about Miranda rights. We're going to speak about your constitutional rights. Her name is Nicci Page. Follow her on Instagram. She's going to hit you with all of her social media information so you know whatever she's doing. She's very, very informed on the law. Y'all get ready. Here she is, Nicci Page. Go ahead.
Hey, y'all.
They coming in there. You're going to see all the numbers right here.
The numbers, okay.
It's 54 people.
He told me I need to get my dribble right because I don't know how to go live. So we're going to try to make it do what it do in here. As he said, my name is Nicci Page. I am a licensed and practicing attorney, licensed in both New York and Pennsylvania. Former Bronx DA, worked in the Narcotics Bureau in the Bronx for several years, where I presented cases to the grand jury, worked in arraignments, the complaint room. I sat a couple felony trials. And, I did a lot of work with undercover police officers, because that's mostly what we did in the Narcotics Bureau, and putting cases into the grand jury and things of that nature. After that, I went private for a little bit, and I worked at Allstate Insurance Company. And then after that, I worked for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board, which is where New York City, if you have a complaint as a civilian that you want to make against an NYPD officer, let's say you feel like they barged into your house without a warrant, or they searched you when they didn't have a constitutional legitimate right to do so, or they used excessive force against you, or they did a chokehold against you, you could call the Civilian Complaint Review Board and report that. I was an attorney there, executive agency counsel, where I also prosecuted NYPD officers who had substantiated allegations of that type of misconduct. And now I am a criminal defense attorney. So my name is Nicci Page. It's not up yet, but my website will be niccipage.com. It's in the works. But for now, you can follow my business page on IG. It's @_the Glow Code. And that's also on YouTube. My YouTube page is The Glow Code. So in addition to being an attorney, I'm also a board certified life coach. I believe that my brilliance is beautiful and my brilliance is my light. So I have a coaching business where I encourage other women, specifically my target audience is Black women, to bring their light to life. We all go through struggles. We all have trials and tribulations. But instead of waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel, you have to realize, my sisters, that you are the light. So follow me on IG @_the Glow Code. That's THEGLOW code CODE. And also on YouTube, the YouTube page is The Glow Code. So there's a video up there right now that you can watch to get kind of like more of an understanding of who I am and what the Glow Code is. So, okay, we got 51 people. I don't know. Y'all got to school me. I got to get my dribble right. How do I do this? Y'all are going to fake news. Way to go, Gully. Hey, Ms. Vicky, awesome. It's Nicci, NICCI. Thank you. I don't know. You guys have any questions that you want to start out with, or I can just start telling you guys about some of the things that I think are misconstrued, that people think they know, but they don't know, and it gets them in trouble. Wait a minute.
Sit on this.
I'm too short. Okay.
Want them to be able to see your shirt.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's better. Now y'all can see the shirt. I'm short, so I had to sit on a pillow. Yes. My brilliance is beautiful. Wouldn't you agree? Paid lawyer or court appointed. I am a little of both, I guess. I have a contract to represent parents who are in the midst of having their parental rights terminated. I have a contract where I will be court appointed to represent parents in those civil proceedings in family court. But when it comes to criminal defense, I'm private, so you'd have to pay. Plea or trial. That's not a question that you could just answer one way or the other. It depends on the facts of the case. Every case is different. So it just depends on the circumstances of whether or not you should take a plea or go to trial. So I can't really answer that and plea or go to trial. It just depends on your circumstances. It depends on the amount of evidence that the prosecution has against you. Like if you're caught on tape doing something, I don't know what your defense would be to want to go to trial. You know, if you have a good defense, if you have witnesses that can controvert what the prosecution's theory of the case is, then maybe trial is something that you might want to consider, but you can't just say one way or the other. And I just have to preface all this by saying that I, at this point, while I'm talking to you guys on YouTube, am not giving anybody legal advice. I'm just talking to you about the general kind of construction of the law, the general rules of law, and just my experience myself personally in being an attorney and specifically being a former Bronx DA. So do not take anything that I'm saying as me personally giving you legal advice on what you should do in your personal situation. You should contact an attorney licensed in your jurisdiction and get some legal advice. I'm not giving nobody up in here right now no legal advice. Okay, so I just want that on the record. Eddie says, beautiful. Thank you so much. How much? Oh, is that what that says? I mean, hit me in my DMs and we could talk about how much. It's, you know, not cheap because you get what you pay for. But again, right now I'm practicing in Pennsylvania, but I am licensed in both New York and Pennsylvania. I think he's asking which is better. And I said, oh, which is better, paid or court appointed? Again, it's hard to say. I know court appointed attorneys get a bad rap, like, oh, they don't want to do no work for you. They just push you to take a plea. You know, they don't really work for you. And I'm sure people have had that experience, but it depends on who you get. And again, when you're relying on court appointed, it's the luck of the draw. Some court appointed attorneys work really hard for their clients. Sometimes it's press cases and really serious cases get court appointed attorneys who work really hard for their clients and get good results for their clients. There are also attorneys that people pay who don't work for their clients. I've seen people pay attorneys, private attorneys, who don't show up to court for them when they're supposed to, don't get their motions in on time, don't show up on time, and they jerk them. And those are people who have been paid. So you can't really say one way or the other. But I do know that there is that perception out there that public defenders don't really do anything. I can't really co-sign that because having worked as a prosecutor, I have seen both on both sides. I've seen good lawyering from public defenders, and I've seen horrible lawyering from private practice attorneys, and vice versa. So it's kind of like, it's hard to say. I can't say one way or the other on that. Oh, public pretender. Ha ha. People do say that. I mean, I ain't never been arrested, so I can't say from my personal experience, but you know, it just depends. It's the luck of the draw. Why are divorces? I can't see what that whole comment is. It's cutting off on the end. What do you think of the case? You think they have a chance? Wait a minute. Jamel. I can't see these comments because clearly I don't have my dribble right. But I'm cute though, and that's what really matters. I'm trying to get him. I can't see your comments on the side. They keep cutting off, so I don't know how to respond to you guys. Hold on. I'll be right back because I got to figure out what's going on. Jamel. I can't read their comments on the side because it's like cutting off on the side, so I can't read what it's saying. How do I? Is that all you had to do? See, I have a PC, not a Mac. So this
get your Mac dribble together.
I don't do Apple.
Get your Mac dribble together, man.
But it's still, move it over more.
Is that better?
Yes.
Get
Thank
your Mac
you.
dribble together.
I don't do Mac. I do PC. Okay. All right. So now I can see. What about California? I'm not sure about California because what most people assume that the law is the law, but criminal law, it goes state to state. So what the law is in California very well may not be the same as it is in Texas, which wouldn't be the same as what it is in New York, which wouldn't be the same as what it is in Pennsylvania. So I'm not licensed in California. I've never practiced in California, so I can't really speak to anything having to do with California law. Why are divorces so unfair to men? Well, first of all, I don't know if that's exactly true. I mean, are you talking about custody issues as far as children, or how much money you have to pay in divorce? I can't really say that divorces are, in this day and age in 2019, unfair to men. I can't say historically that may have been the case with regard to custody, that there was a presumption that a child of tender years, they call it, which is a young child, belongs with the mother. But as things have progressed and we're in a modern world, women don't really get the presumptions that they used to get. If you're the better fit parent, if you have a job, if you're the stable person, like, the courts will give children to men now, to their fathers now. So I don't know if that's still the case. And if you're asking about money, if you make more money, then you might have to pay more money in alimony. And there's a historical perspective there of men historically making more money than women. So the history of it might play a part in that as well. Can Linda Fairstein be arrested? Okay, so probably not, because there's this thing called prosecutorial immunity, which there are people who call for it to be done away with, but for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So in the heat of the moment, when you're watching this movie, you might say, we need to get rid of prosecutorial immunity. Prosecutors should be able to be charged. But there could be unforeseen consequences if you do that. Prosecutors have to have the freedom to be able to pursue the cases that they think are worth pursuing, to try to go out there and get the evidence and information that they feel is needed to prosecute their case without fear of, oh my God, am I going to be sued? Oh my God, am I going to be arrested? But in cases where a prosecutor engages in what could be called gross misconduct, like you just went way beyond what is acceptable behavior, which I think that argument can be made in this case. There are ways to get around prosecutorial immunity, but it has to be so overwhelmingly outside of the bounds of, acceptable behavior. And I think courts and society is kind of like, you can do it, but people don't really typically like to. It's highly uncommon for a prosecutor to be brought up on charges for something that they've done. So, and given that this was so long ago, the time period in it, I think would kind of go against her actually being arrested. But I definitely think she is going to suffer, consequences outside of the criminal justice system. She's already, losing, spots on boards. She's probably going to have a hard time ever finding another job. With these internets the way they are, she will probably be harassed now, henceforth, and forevermore. Why does alimony exist? Well, because historically women weren't allowed to work, so they relied totally and completely on their husbands to provide for them. So the law, when it's working right, is supposed to kind of help people remain whole. So if you're harmed, if you're hurt, if something is taken from you, the law is supposed to be there to bring you back up to the standard that you were, to make you whole again. So if you were a woman and you relied on your husband for food, for shelter, for clothing, basically for all of your necessities, and your husband just decided to leave you and not provide for you, the law was there to make sure that you wouldn't be homeless, hungry, out on the streets. And again, these are laws that have, in common law, have been on the books 200 years ago. So obviously women work now, but alimony grows out of law that was written 100 years ago, when women really did not work and women really were wholly dependent on their husbands to care for them. So if your husband just left you, what would you do? You'd be out in the street hungry and homeless. So the law was there with alimony to make sure to prevent that from happening. Lock her up. Well, okay. I'm sure that's a hashtag that lots of people will get behind. Hello, Queen. Congratulations. Thank you, Adrian. Oh, Adrian Williams. Okay. I know you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. What do you think about the junior case from the Bronx? You think they have defense in trial after all the evidence and all? Oh, that was so sad. That was just so unnecessary, so stupid, just so like how do humans behave like this to other people? Like that was a monstrous situation. And no, I don't think there's a defense. And in a case like this that's so highly publicized, where it really tugs at your heartstrings, it's on video and you can see this man literally, or young man, being attacked for no reason, dying. You can see the life leave him on camera. When you have that type of evidence that inflames the court of public opinion, let alone the jury who's going to sit in that case, like it's almost like you're done for. Like you can stick a fork in it. Like that's a wrap. What defense could you possibly make when I see you callously stabbing a person multiple times for no apparent reason? You're behaving like animal, like an animal. Like, what are we supposed to do as the jury? What could you say to me or to anybody as to how that was okay? What is your defense for that? There is none. You're done. Any task force from DA office to go after crooked police? Well, you know, there's internal affairs bureau. But you know, what can I say? I'm trying to figure out how to say this without. Okay. So there's internal affairs bureau and their job is to investigate. It's police investigating police. But it's kind of like, how far is that going to go when you have police investigating police? You know, how motivated are you really to investigate your fellow officers? Audre Lorde once said, you can't tear down the master's house using the master's tools, right? So how can you root out corruption and misconduct in the police department by using the police department? So it's just kind of like a failed premise from the beginning, if you ask me. But there are officers there who I guess are doing their job. They are, you know, trying to, you know, root out corruption and misconduct. But I've also listened to IAB interviews where it appears that the investigation isn't really trying to get to the bottom of much. But again, it's hit or miss. I can't say that it's all like that, but I can say that having an organization investigate itself, no matter what the organization is probably not the best way to get to the truth if you really are looking for the truth. We are of animalistic nature. I mean, I don't know who we is. I don't consider myself to be animalistic. But some people behave that way. And I guess that's why we do have the prison system, because some people are not fit for public consumption. And if you feel like it's okay to just be running down on people, stabbing them multiple times for no good reason, they have places for people like you. And I'm not mad. It was built on corruption. Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the history of the police department, you know, that it grew out, it was an outgrowth of slave patrols. Yeah, I guess that is starting from a point that's negative to begin with. So yeah. Do you guys have any questions that you wanted to ask me in general? I know Gully said we're going to talk about Miranda rights. I can do that. I don't feel sorry for them kids. They was weak. Okay, I watched his I don't feel sorry for them video, and I disagree. I feel sorry for them. Like, I understand, like, everybody's supposed to know you don't confess to nothing you didn't do, especially not a rape. But considering that they were so young, and you know, there's social science and psychology behind this, that a person, like, when a person is that young, you can really, and even adults, it happens to, you can be browbeat and coerced to saying things under duress that are not true. And I felt sorry for them. I wouldn't want that to be like me or my child. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of like, but why did you say you did it? But I mean, I try to have a measure of grace and a measure of mercy for people that I would like extended to myself. So I have to disagree with Gully on that one. Watch Scheme Team YouTube page. Gully is a fan. Wow. I watched the doc on corruption on police and taking down the blue wall. You know what? There's a good Netflix documentary. I think it's either called the 83rd or the 85th. I think it's the 83rd, about the 83rd precinct in Brooklyn. It's a really good documentary about the shenanigans that was going on in that precinct in like the 80s. Crazy. I definitely feel bad for Corey. Yeah, I feel bad for all of them. I just watched When They See Us, the Corey Wise episode again. I'm still shook. I talked to one of my colleagues who we started in the Bronx DA's office together today, and she watched it too. And she told me she was literally like crying, like real grown woman tears while watching it. I haven't watched it yet just because I know me and I'm just not ready. So I'm going to watch it, but it's like I already know it's about to be some tomfoolery and it's gonna affect me emotionally and mentally. And given that this is what I do on a daily basis, it's a lot of emotion that goes on in the criminal justice system. So I'm gonna just wait a minute and then I'm gonna watch it. The 7-5 East New York. Is that what it was? The 7-5? Was that the name of the documentary? Or are you saying the 75th is that precinct? Because I have heard that myself. I never worked in Brooklyn, but I heard. So do you guys have any questions? Okay, I'm going to talk to you guys about Miranda rights because this is something as a defense attorney and even as a prosecutor that I would see all the time. And I think people watch TV and they think TV is real and they think because they watch 2 episodes of Law and Order, they know something, but they really don't. So what happens is people get arrested, right? And then they talk for whatever reason. I don't know why anybody's talking. I don't know why. My advice would be just shut up. But people get arrested. They say things in the police car on the way to the precinct, or they get to the precinct and they say things, or the cop asks them something and they say something. And then they've ended up saying something that is detrimental to them in their case. And then they want to come in and be like, no, you can't use that because they never read me my Miranda. They never gave me my Miranda. You can't use, and it's like, bruh, let me break it down for you. Yes, you do have Miranda rights, right? But those rights are only triggered under specific situations, right? So your Fifth Amendment right is a right not to incriminate yourself. You cannot be forced to say something that is against your interest, which is why you cannot be forced to testify at a trial. You have a right to just shut up. You have a right to just not say nothing. The burden is on the people. The burden is on the Commonwealth. It's their job to prove that you did whatever they say you did. You don't have to disprove anything. You could just sit there and shut up. It's your right. You can do it. And many of you need to avail yourself of that right. But what you do is you get there and you start yapping. You're running off at the mouth. You're saying stuff. You think you're cussing the police officer out, but really in between the F-bombs, you're saying things that are going to be used against you later. And then you come to the defense attorney and you're like, oh, but they never read me my Miranda. Here's the thing. Miranda only kicks in when it's a custodial interrogation. 2 prongs. In order for you to be entitled to Miranda warnings, you have to be 1, in custody, and 2, you have to be the subject of an interrogation. If it's not a custodial, and they have to be at the same time, simultaneously. You have to be in custody and being subjected to an interrogation. If you're not in custody and you're not being interrogated, you don't have a right to Miranda warnings. So what that means is, if the cops pull you over, or let's just say you're walking down the street and the cops are like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? You're not in custody at that point. The cop has just walked up to you and asked you if they can talk to you for a minute, but you're free to leave. You're not in custody. At that point, since you're free to leave, he is not required to give you any Miranda warnings because you're not in custody. So anything that you say while you're free to leave, like you feel like, nah, F you, I ain't got to say nothing, like with all of that, that is not subject to Miranda. If you say anything that can be used against you at that point, it will be used against you because you were not in custody when you said those things. Interrogation. That means the police officer has to be asking you questions designed to elicit a response. So if you are in custody, like you're in handcuffs, you're in the back of the police car, but nobody's asking you any questions, but you just feel like you just need to talk for whatever reason, all those statements you're making in the back of the police car, don't come to me later. Don't come to me as your defense attorney trying to talk about, oh, what we doing to suppress these statements? A whole lot of nothing, because you should have just shut up. There's no Miranda warnings. If you just decide to, of your own volition, initiate it just because you feel like you got so much to say, you just want to talk, that is not subject to Miranda. Miranda is only for custodial interrogations. So if the officer's asking you questions, yes, he should Mirandize you. But a lot of times, unfortunately, my clients just talk a lot. And it's like, why were you talking? The only thing you should have been saying is, I am not speaking until my lawyer's here. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless you and good night. Like, enough with the talking. It's unnecessary and it typically doesn't help you. And I think a lot of people feel like they know the law and they think what they're saying is going to help them. They think, oh, the cops tell you, oh, if you just tell us right now, it could go better for you later. Okay. Tell my lawyer. Okay. Thank you. So again, people, custodial interrogations. If you are not in custody and being interrogated, you are not entitled to Miranda warnings. If, however, you are in custody and being interrogated, you should be given Miranda warnings before an officer speaks to you or asks you any questions. But, if it were me, I can't tell you what to do. But if it was me and I got arrested, I'm not saying anything other than get my lawyer and we're done. But that's just me. Any other questions? TV. Yeah, people watch. I personally can't even watch Law and Order anymore. Like I used to love Law and Order, but I cannot watch it because it's so not real. Like that is so not how it goes that I can't even enjoy the show. Yeah, don't say nothing. Keep quiet. Simple. Oh, it's another thing that a lot of people don't know and people are shocked to hear is that it's completely legal for the police to lie to you. It's completely legal for the police to trick you, to tell you things that are not true in order to see what you say. Because the psychology behind it is this. If the police surrounded me, 45 police surrounded me right now and was like, we got you on tape robbing the PNC Bank on such and such a date. There's nothing that they could tell me to trick me into being like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't rob the bank. I just drove the car. There's nothing they could tell me to make me admit to anything because I know with 100% certainty, I ain't robbed no bank, never, no time, no how. So there's nothing that the police could trick me into saying. But a guilty mind, a person who is guilty of something might be easily tricked into making an admission. So like if I had maybe robbed a bank once or twice or had something to do with robbing a bank, the police coming to me and lying and saying, we got you on camera doing it, might trick me into saying something. So the psychology is lying and trickery will only work on someone who's already guilty to begin with. Which, I mean, I guess there's an argument to it because if you know for 100% certainty that you didn't do something, a police officer coming to you and being like, oh, well, we got a witness who says that, her surveillance video from her front porch caught you going into the back door of the bank. No, they didn't, because I never even been over there. So I'll see you at trial because that wasn't me. But again, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying call my lawyer. Me. That's what I'm saying. But hopefully that will help some of y'all. It's all fear. Yes. And if you didn't do anything wrong, you shouldn't be afraid enough to admit to something that you didn't do. Can you speak more on your experience, any situations or stories in the real world? Well, my experience, I went to Wellesley College, a very prestigious all-women's college. Hillary Clinton went there, and Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State, went there, and Diane Sawyer went there, and Oprah's stepdaughter, Stedman's daughter, Wendy Graham, went there, and just a lot of really smart women who are super, super accomplished, a lot of wealthy people. Like I didn't know I was poor until I got to college. Like, I thought I was living the dream. And then I got to college and was like, oh, okay. You use the word summer as a verb. Like, I thought summer was a noun, but you use summer like, oh, where are you summering this season? Like, okay. I went to college with people who would travel to Europe just to shop. And it was a culture shock for me, but I'm grateful for it because I've gotten to see how all different types of people live. And I have a network of women who are just amazing all around the globe. Anywhere I go on earth, I have someone there who is my Wellesley sister. So you can Google Wellesley College. It should be www.wellesley.edu. It's consistently ranked in the top 5 liberal arts colleges in the country. You know, my friends in college went to MIT and to Harvard. And for me, it was just such an amazing experience because growing up, you don't really see images of Black people who really are brilliant. I'm talking like super smart, accomplished. And to get to my college and see all these, you know, and again, we weren't the majority, like we might have been like 8% of the student population. But, you know, when you added up all the campuses between Harvard, Boston University, Boston College, MIT, to just meet young Black men when I was 19, 20 years old, Black men who were mechanical engineers and chemical engineers, and women who were going to be physicians and surgeons and diplomats around the world, people who spoke several languages. It was just a really eye-opening and a great experience for me. And I'm so grateful for it. And I think more people should have that experience because, you know, I'm not against everybody wanting to be a rapper. I mean, I am against everybody wanting to be a rapper. But like, you walk into a school now and you ask people what they want to be, and every kid in the classroom says rapper. Like, that don't even make no sense. Like, everybody's not going to be a rapper. We don't need that many rappers. We need engineers. We need architects. We need investment bankers. We need writers. We need poets. We need artists. And just I think it's so important for children to have experience that there's something other than being a rapper. And there are Black men who are something other than rappers and gangsters and drug dealers and ex-cons. There are Black men who are, and let me give you this, they make more money than the rappers and the gangsters and the ex-cons. There are Black men who are investment bankers who are more well off than your favorite rapper. Can we get that picture? Can we get that image on the screen? Is that too much for us to ask? I went off tangent. That's not even what I came here to talk about. All right. So Wellesley College. At Wellesley, I also pledged sorority. I was initiated into the Xi Tau chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So it was a citywide chapter. My sorority at the time was my school, Wellesley, Harvard, MIT, Babson, Bentley, Lesley, and Tufts. I have the honor of being a member of a chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. One of my charter members is a former U.S. attorney. So it's just, like I said, having connections with so many brilliant women. One of the charter members of my chapter of Delta Sigma Theta that I was initiated into is the former U.S. attorney for the United States of America, Loretta Elizabeth Lynch. Loretta Lynch is my sorority sister, but also my chapter soror. She was a charter member back in 1980. Her and her line sisters at Harvard started my chapter that I was initiated into. DST about business. Yes, sir or ma'am. Certainly are. Go off. Help the platform go off. Oh, am I going off? Oh, I didn't know I was going off. How long have you been in the prosecutor's office? Okay, I'm not in the prosecutor's office right now. I started in the prosecutor's office in the Bronx in 2006, and I left there in about 2011. I worked for Allstate Insurance Company for about 2 years, and then I worked for the Civilian Complaint Review Board in New York City, where I prosecuted police officers. I did that for about 4 years. Now I am a private criminal defense attorney. What if you don't have a lawyer at the time, but you're innocent? Well, you have a right to a lawyer. So you might not have a lawyer on retainer, but if you are in these United States of America and you are arrested an attorney will be appointed to you. So shut up until you see. I mean, I can't tell y'all what to do, but if it was me and I had no money and I didn't have an attorney on retainer, I'm still not gonna start talking without my attorney. And I think a lot of times what happens is people think they're doing themselves a favor by talking. They think, oh, if I just say this, that's gonna make them leave me alone. Nah. Nope. Not even a little bit. Just when you go to law school, it trains you, your mind thinks a different way. You think about the questions that you need to ask. You think about this answer that you give me. It's going to make me as a lawyer think of 10 other questions that I need to ask you based on this one answer that you gave me that you think is inconsequential. As an attorney, I now have 15 more questions that I need to ask you about a simple yes or no that you just gave me. And if you haven't been trained to think that way, you can't anticipate what's coming next. So it's just in your interest to just be quiet until you can get legal advice. And anything you have to say to them, if there comes a point where it is in your best interest to say something to them, do it at that point, after you've had the time to consult with an attorney, after your attorney has had time to either negotiate on your behalf or figure out what, if anything, the prosecution knows already or what they don't know. Don't give away the farm day one. Like, give it when you can get something in return. I can say personally, as a former prosecutor, there were many times where we didn't really have a case until people started talking. And if people would have just shut up, we never would have been able to prove what we were able to prove based on your statements. And, that is not uncommon. But, I don't know. I'm just saying, if it's me, if it's my son, if it's my cousin, if it's my nephew, it's my niece, shut up. You have that right for a reason. Use it. And I'm not saying, like I said, to not ever say anything. I know there's people out here like, I don't talk to cops, period, point blank, end story, game over. I respect your opinion, but as an attorney, I have to say there may be a time when it's appropriate for you to speak to the police, to tell them something. I don't know what those circumstances might be, but I know it's not just blabbing it out as soon as you're arrested without any legal advice. I know that ain't the time, but there may be a point where your attorney has had an opportunity to negotiate on your behalf, to figure out what their theory is, to figure out, what they're thinking. There may come a point where you telling them something might be, oh, okay, we had you mixed up with this person. We thought you were this person. Okay, now we understand. But that point is not at the first encounter. That's after you've had time to be counseled, in my opinion. But I ain't giving y'all no legal advice. I'm just saying for me. What's your opinion on these public defenders that don't really give a damn about their client? Again, I'm not going to bash public defenders. It's really easy from the outside looking in to say, oh, well, they not doing this. They not doing that. They not working for me. They don't care. But having seen it from the other side, like, you don't really know how many cases these people have. These people are making $40,000 a year. You graduate from law school, you come out of law school, you got 150, 160, 170. I know some people, $200,000 worth of loans. You working at a job that's going to pay you $40,000 before tax, and you want me to be my best? You want me to do my best for $40,000? Are you serious? And that's not happening. Not only do you want me to do my best, you want me to do my best, and you're going to give me 300 cases. How could I possibly do my best with that type of caseload? So I'm not gonna down public defenders. Obviously, if you are an attorney, you are being paid to do a job, you should do it. But until you walked in those shoes, I think it's very easy to just criticize. They're doing a difficult job. The caseloads that they have are just, it's stupid. It's dumb. It don't even make no sense. How could you possibly thoroughly investigate, thoroughly establish a rapport with your client, get to know your client, their background, their family, return every phone call, track down every lead, when you got 300 cases on your desk? All of them have deadlines. You have to do motions on all of them. It's unrealistic. It's one of the ways in which our system is broken. You cannot get good legal advice like that. Now you might hit the luck of the draw and get a good one on a good day, But we're human. The defense attorney, the public defender is human too. They have their own family. They have their own issues, their own problems, their own bills to pay. And they have a difficult job. If it were me, I would obviously hire a private attorney because your private attorney has less cases on their docket. The private attorney can also pick and choose their cases. I can say, you know what? I know that's a loser. I don't want it. Public defender can't say that. Public defender has to take every defendant that they're assigned. And some defendants are just hard to work with. There are some defendants who are hard to serve. You try to help them. You try to give them good advice and they don't want to listen. They think they know better than you, or they go out and catch 4 more cases while this case is open. How much am I supposed to care when you just keep getting arrested? Clearly you don't care. You don't care about yourself, but I'm supposed to care about you more than you care about yourself? Really? Not for $40,000. No, sir. No, ma'am. So I think being overburdened and overworked and underpaid is the main reason why people feel like they don't get good service from public defenders. And that's not the public defender's fault. That is our system and our society. On both ends of why they're overburdened. Why are so many people being arrested? Why are there so many cases? Why can y'all find money to pay for everything else except for to properly and appropriately pay attorneys who are working, in public defenders' offices? So, but again, I do know public defenders. I have public defenders in my family. I'm not the only attorney in my family. I have a first cousin who is a public defender, and I know that she works really hard. But I also know some people just like to complain. Some of y'all, no matter what somebody do, you gonna find a complaint. Some of y'all, no matter how hard somebody work for you, it's not good enough. Meanwhile, you ain't paying dime the first, picking up a new case every 2 weeks, but steady got a complaint. Let's talk about you too. I done got off topic again. It's 2 systems, rich getting out, poor you are not. That's true. We behind enemy lines out here. I'm not even gonna lie to you. There are 2 systems. People are definitely treated differently. Sentencing is done differently, even from the charging phase. In many ways, the prosecutor is the most powerful person in the whole chain reaction. The prosecutor, there are many times I've sat in the complaint room and I've had the power to dismiss a case before it even gets to a judge, to say, I'm not prosecuting this case. I'm not writing this case up. In the Bronx, we call it DP. I'm declining to prosecute this case. DP. Thank you, Officer Smith, but you can't explain to me how you got into that glove compartment, and I know legally you don't have a reason to be in the glove compartment, so I get that you found 30 zips of whatever in the glove compartment, but you didn't have no reasons being in there, so I'm going to DP this case. Thank you. Bye. I mean, they weren't a fan of that, but that was my job as a prosecutor. And in that way, prosecutor has so much power. Like, that person is going home that night. That case is null process. It's going away. That person never has to see the judge. It's a wrap because the prosecutor sitting there said, I'm not prosecuting it. Not doing it. And in that way, the prosecutor has put a halt, has stopped this snowball that's going to happen once this person is processed and goes in front of the judge. And that's why you need a diversified, when I was a prosecutor, I would be walking into the grand jury, the Rikers bus would pull up, dudes would be coming off the Rikers bus like, oh, you work for the man. Oh, you a traitor. Oh, you work for the man. You work for the man. You don't want this system without me working here, sir. How about that? How about that? Yeah, I'm working. You think I'm working for the man, but how you know I'm not working for you? How you know you harassing me from the Rikers bus? First of all, how can you fix your lips to be saying anything to me from an orange jumpsuit from the Rikers bus? 1. Number 2, you come out your face. Oh, you work for the man. You work for the man. You a traitor. How you know I'm not about to be the DA standing across from you? How you know it's not about to be me standing across from you about to recommend to the judge whether you get probation or not, but you want to come out your face, sir? No. I say all that to say we need Black prosecutors. We need Hispanic prosecutors. We need a diversified pool of people who are in that complaint room, who understand the communities that people are coming from, who understand the trauma that people are coming from, who can make those types of decisions in the courtroom to maybe stop the snowball from going. I don't trust you, Nicci. Okay, am I not going to sleep tonight, or is the sun not coming back up tomorrow? Nope. Carry on. Who is Pastor Cinque? Why weren't you putting out stuff in the media like I was when I was a cop? First of all, I don't know you. It wasn't my job to put stuff out in the media while I was a prosecutor. That kind of would have been, a conflict of interest. There go that angry black woman hand gesture. Now you gonna call me an angry black woman? Now that's not nice. I'm up here trying to show y'all that my brilliance is beautiful. And you're gonna call me an angry black woman. And which hand gesture is it that's angry black? I don't know which one. I probably did so many. I'm not sure which one is angry. Ha ha, people are tripped. Ain't they though? Did you go to Laughlin? You look very familiar. No, I did not go to Bishop Laughlin. I didn't go to high school in New York. I'm not from New York originally. You good, sister. Go ahead. Yeah, see, I was going off, and it's always one that want to take the conversation somewhere else. We love your spirit. Thank you. So I guess I'm not an angry black woman. Gorgeous queen. Yes. Do you guys have any other questions? Your education is beyond impressive, but my question was geared towards the field. What investigations could we look up when you served in the New York Civilian Complaint Review Board? I mean, why you want to be looking up my investigations? I mean, what's that about? You want to investigate me? I don't remember the names of my cases, and I'm not even sure if you would be able to look it up because CCRB was kind of like an administrative trial. So we did have trials in the trial room at One Police Plaza, but they weren't in like actual like New York Supreme Court. So what could you look up? I did have a case. Can I say this? I don't know. I did have a case with the officer who unfortunately choked Mr. Garner to death. I had a case with him for an incident that happened prior to that. I won it. So there's that, but you probably won't be able to find it again because it wasn't in like real, Supreme Court. It was in administrative court at One Police Plaza. He said, tell him. I don't know if I could tell him. I told him a little bit, but you can't Google police officers' disciplinary history, so I ain't trying to get myself jammed up on the internet trying to give y'all the tea, okay?
Tell them something about something that got prosecuted in Bronx, drugs or gangs.
Drugs, gangs. I don't. He wants me to tell y'all about, something that happened when I was in the Bronx. I'm trying to think what happened. That was a big case when I was in the Bronx. I have, first of all, me working in the Bronx District Attorney's Office, I have PTSD from that situation. So I have probably like blocked out a lot of what has happened there. And again, I'm 40. This is years ago. I'm about 10 years ago that I worked there, 2007, 8, 9. I don't know. I'm see, you want me to give you like a big like press case that everybody know about.
Something that you work, they're trying to check you out. And you should know.
I don't think I like this whole y'all trying to run my jacket. And see, I'm not accused of anything here. Why you want to look at my? Yes, we want to know what years were you in the Bronx? I started in 2006. I left around 2011. Tell us some gangster cases. It's the dribble. I didn't work in the gang unit. I worked in narcotics. Basically, what I did on a day-to-day basis is put into the grand jury, buy and bust cases from undercover police officers who bought crack, heroin, meth, whatever.
This is why they asking you something that you worked on, because we don't trust people who work in the system. So although you look, I'm keeping it real with you. Although you look like us, you talk like us, we still don't all the way trust you because you were a part of it. So you got to just give us a little something.
Well, so if I tell y'all, I saw 3 dead bodies, that's gonna make y'all trust me.
But you got to. But
I don't know. What do I tell you? I'm a very trustworthy person. I've been giving y'all the real. I ain't never been in the closet. First of all, I don't know. Like I didn't And again, this is what you have to understand.
That's why they act like that. My viewers, they distrust.
Yeah, y'all distrustful. Lighten up. Okay. This is what you need to understand. When you're in the DA's office, like you start out, you're like a baby attorney. You start out doing like cases where people drove without a license, simple assault, like little misdemeanor stuff. You don't get to like big cases that a person would know about that you would see on the news until you've been there 10 years. You don't make it to gang unit until you've been there 10 years. So I was there from 2006 to 2011. So what is that, 5 years? I wouldn't have been the person handling a huge murder press case. That's not how it works. I was the person kind of like, by the time I left, I was like in that middle section where, I was presenting serious cases to the grand jury, like, serious robberies. I did a DNA case once where a person was caught by DNA. I did a case where this guy was like locked in a trunk of a car. He thought he was going to die. This case was so sad. It almost made me cry. People thought it was a mistaken identity. Basically, he ended up hogtied in the trunk of a car. And he was like blindfolded. It was like a Mexican immigrant. Like he barely spoke English. Like I felt so bad for this dude. He found like I guess there's a button inside of trunks just in case you happen to get locked in one. You can push the button and it'll open the trunk. But it took him like hours to find that. He thought he was going to die. He was almost suffocating. But basically, these drug dealers thought that he knew where a specific car was parked because he was like the attendant at a parking like garage, and they thought that he knew. They were looking for a specific car and they thought he knew where the car was parked, but he really didn't. And the car that they were looking for, actually the police later found, and there were like kilos and kilos of like heroin in a trap door or whatever that was built inside the vehicle that they were looking for. And that was an interesting case to put in because it was usually drug cases are not emotional. It's just money, drugs, that's it. You don't have to really feel too much emotion. But that case where you actually had a victim who really thought he was going to die, he really, kind of explained to the jury being hogtied and being in complete darkness and blackness in this trunk, not knowing if they were going to kill him, like having been in the trunk for hours, not knowing if he was going to suffocate or see his wife and his children again. It was really like emotional, more so than, drug cases tend to be. But I didn't do any like cases that you would know. Like I wouldn't have been on like the junior case or anything like that. That just, I hadn't reached that level of seniority in the office to get to that point. The middle section is of interest. It's more relatable to the public versus the high profile cases. Thanks for sharing your stories. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Glad to be of service. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to tell you guys. This was fun. I don't do live. Like, this is not my thing, but I guess it's kind of fun. Did y'all go follow my page, though? Did y'all go see, the glowing things that I'm trying to do? Did y'all go see, Wow, this dude Gully. Who next? Obama?
Right.
Oh, that's funny. Oh. Obama. I might introduce you to Obama. I do know some people at Harvard.
Right.
I do, for real. What did you learn from it? Oh, again, I learned from that experience that you do need people from all areas of society in the DA's office. Hold on. I can hear myself talking back to me. Can you take I can hear myself and it's throwing me off. Okay. So I learned that it's important to have people from all areas of society working in the criminal justice system. See, even though I'm in the criminal justice system now, y'all don't trust me because I'm there. But I'm trying to tell y'all, having me there is in your best interest, because when your cousin is getting arrested and the cops can't really adequately explain to me how they got into the glove compartment, it's me in the complaint room DPing the case. That's me. That's not Becky. It wasn't. It was me. When your people have the baby shower that go till 4 o'clock in the morning, inevitably there's a fight. It's me that explains to everybody else in the complaint room how that happens and why this really isn't a criminal situation. Like, nobody really needs to go to jail for this. This is just some shenanigans. Let's give some, community service and a disorderly conduct and let this go away. Somebody made it so, oh, Mike Bowers, thank you for $10. You gonna hit me up with that $10?
Yeah.
That's my $10. Y'all heard him. He said I can have that $10. How was my dribble? I know this was my first time here, and this ain't really what y'all do on this channel. I had to set some guidelines that, oh, look at that. $10, because he's a man of his word. Thanks, Gully. I was only kidding, but I'm going to put it in my pocket. Yes, I am. How was my dribble? Okay, I know this is different. He asked me to come over here. I had to put down some guidelines. Like, what are we doing over there today? Because I'm about glow. I'm about lights. What am I walking into? Because I watch your page. I know how it goes down over there. Can my mama watch this episode? What's going on? So how did I do today with the dribble? Y'all want me to come back? Or was this boring? This ain't y'all want gangs and Bloods and Crips and drugs. How was I? Can I come back? Can I come kick it with y'all again? Yes, no, maybe. I'm gonna work on my dribble in the meantime. See, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I couldn't even do that before today. See? Do y'all have any put up your info? Okay. Follow me on IG at _ the glow code. That's common spelling. _ the glow code. THEGLOWCODE. And on that page in my bio, you can click to follow my personal page as well. And on YouTube, you can go subscribe to my channel. It is also called The Glow Code. THEGLOWCODE. I'm trying to encourage all women, but specifically Black women, to bring their light to life, to live in gratitude, love, optimism, and wisdom. To understand that your brilliance is beautiful. You ain't got to be out here twerking. No shade to nobody who like to do that, but you ain't got to do that. We are so much more than that. We are bright. We are brilliant. We are beautiful. And I'm going to be bringing my sorority sisters, some family members, colleagues, just women that I know, not only in this country, but internationally, because I have women who are investment bankers in London. I have, friends who run museums, the African art collection at museums in Africa. I'm going to be bringing those women to the Glow Code so that we can bring all of this fabulous melanin and light and beauty that we have as daughters of the Most High to the internet. So y'all want to follow me, share it with your nieces, your cousins, your granddaughters. It's really for Black women to see images of us, of who we really are. And there's a full spectrum of what Black womanhood is. And I think that there's an invisible middle. People like me, women like me, are invisible. We don't get no play. We don't get no shine. We don't be getting no likes on the YouTube. We don't get no likes on the Instagram. Why? Because we ain't all naked and got everything on. And I got it. I could put it out if I want to. I got it. But that ain't for y'all. I'm going to give you my mind. Okay? So I had a good time, I guess. I mean, is it time for me to get out of here? What you think? Gully going to have you doing? Huh? Oh! Hudson Samuel! How dare you? What you think? Gully, they want to know you going to have me twerking. Gully can't have me do nothing I don't want to do. We don't do no twerking. We educating. We helping y'all. We helping y'all get y'all dribble right when y'all get stopped and frisked. We not here to twerk. I've been on here. I don't even know, where do it say? Oh, it's been more than an hour.
No, it ain't.
It ain't?
Not yet.
Oh, 58 minutes and 32 seconds.
Y'all subscribe to the channel, The Real Gully TV.
I got a question.
What's up?
I think the internet wants to know.
What you say?
How do we meet?
You tell them.
I want you to tell them. Maybe your recollection is different than mine.
This used to be my girl. This is my girl in high school. She grew up to be the prosecuting attorney.
That's not actually how I recall.
And I was the shit with this ball in high school. Tell them the truth.
No, tell them how you wouldn't talk to me in high school. You want to tell them that? Do you want to tell them how you refused to talk to me? How you sat in science class and act like I didn't exist? You want to tell them that?
Because you was too smart.
I mean,
I wasn't ready and shit.
I was never your girlfriend,
Tell
though.
him that she was.
I wasn't. Now they really gonna think I'm gonna be twerking. See, I met him at a skating rink, y'all, when I was a little girl. He had on a red fila suit, and the way he be acting on this channel, like I'm the ish, I'm this, I'm that. Y'all might think that it's just something he's putting on, but I'm here to tell you, he was like that when we was like 11, 12, 13 years old, because I met him in a red fila suit. Okay. I was at, Evans Skateland with my homies, and he skated up to me in his little red fila suit, and he was like, yo, what's your number? And I was like, ew, because, I went to private school. I was good girl, church girl. I was like, I don't even know you. Like, my number. And he was there.
Exclusive fila.
He was there from a group home. How you gonna be from the group home asking me for my number? Okay, but he really thought he was entitled. Like he was offended that I was like not trying to give him my number. Like I mean, offended.
The fila shit I had on was immaculate.
I mean, it was cute. It was alright.
Shit was from Italy.
It was cute and whatnot, but like
I needed that number, yo.
I was
Straight
like,
off the fila.
Is she Quest asking me for
fila.
my number? No, ma'am. No. So the way he is on here, thinking he is, I know we don't say all that in a bag of chips anymore. That's real lame. That's probably not dribble appropriate. He thinks, but I'm trying not to cuss. He thinks he's that dude. He been thinking he that dude since we was kids. And I mean, I think, he's a bit of a narcissist. I think he would admit that. But he's been that way. It's not an act. And if it is an act, he's been carrying on with it for a good 35 years. I don't know. But that's how we met at the skating rink when we was little kids. We went to high school together for a little bit, prep school. But he didn't talk to me. I had a crush on him in high school. He wouldn't talk to me. I was like, oh my gosh, he will not talk to me. We was in science class together. He didn't pay me no rap. None whatsoever. And so, yeah. And now we're cool. We're friends. So thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate y'all letting me kick it with y'all. I was a little nervous because I don't be doing lives. Hopefully y'all go follow me. My YouTube page is The Glow Code. On Instagram, you can follow me at _ The Glow Code. And definitely if you have sisters, wives, cousins, nieces, nephews, even mentees, people that you mentor, I think it would be good for you to share it with them, because I really am going to be in the coming months bringing some exclusive content. It's going to be content that vibrates on the faith frequency. It's going to be full of light. You're going to be able to cop your t-shirts. If you believe that your brilliance is beautiful, you can have one as well. My name is Nicci Page. I have had so much fun being here today. Maybe he'll invite me back. Maybe not. I don't know. Y'all tell him. Y'all hit him up in the comments if y'all want me to come back. Let me know. I think we should do one together. That's what I think. I think that would be interesting. It would be like a little yin yang, whatever, fire and ice. I think we should do that. But you tell him in the comments. I guess, am I out? I'm getting ready to leave. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna go and try to get my dribble right. I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Peace. I hope y'all enjoyed y'all time here. The fila been grade A for like 30 years. The fila game been immaculate for 30 years, yo. Yeah, this was dope. He said Gully cuddle with the crushed velvet fila. I had one of them joints on, had the sneaks on the match. I ain't had a headband on that day. I had the sweat. So, let me get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all time. Follow me on Instagram, The Real Gully TV. Make sure y'all follow her at The Glow Code. She'll be back soon. I'm out of here. One. Killed that.